Yo, what's up viewers, it's your boy Blaze Hollow, giving you a long requested video, What If Deku Ate the Hormone Fruit Part 13. I am really sorry about dragging this out. I sometimes just get major headaches trying to work on this series. I've had a lot of my friends help me out getting back into the groove of things, so let's cut the chit chat and get straight into it. Roll that intro.
I don't think you can become a hero.
Shinso was looking at the people in his group and he realized that they might have enough for them to start heading towards the plaza. The bigger problem was he didn't know if they had enough strength to help out with the potential weapon that could kill All Might. Alright everyone, we need to start making a move towards the plaza. I believe Sensei should have things taken care of, but we need to hurry up and back him up just in case. Momo realized that nobody else was racing to give their opinion on the matter at hand, so she decided to speak up for herself. Do we even have a plan once we get there? I don't know about everybody else, but speaking for myself, I don't have much combat experience, and I don't know how many useful objects I'll be able to make. I wasn't expecting to use a lot of lipids today. Jiro was still holding on to her earphone jack after the loud explosion that Momo caused. So you wasted material to blow up a door that we still don't even know if it was locked or not. I panicked, okay? It was dark and creepy in there. Shinso just shook his head at this whole spectacle. Enough, both of you. We don't have time for petty squabbles at the moment. I mainly say we need to get to the plaza because the others might be there, and if I'm able to reconvene with Izuku and Mina, the three of us would be the perfect backup for Sensei while the rest of you try not to get in the way. Everybody looked at one another, not really liking how they were being treated like a hindrance, but at the moment, confidence and strength is key, so they follow Shinso's lead to the plaza. As we cut to the main plaza itself, where over dozens of random villains were on the ground, either captured or knocked out by Eraserhead. If you're just going to keep throwing your flunkies at me, you're just going to run out of them in no time. Shigaraki was scratching his neck profusely. No fair, no fair. No one told me that you had a secret quirk. Nomu, go over there and kill him. A freakishly buff blue creature charged forward onto the battlefield, trying to swing at Eraserhead, but only for him to dodge and weave out of the way. I should let you know that this is not going to work against me. I'm not All Might. I actually have martial arts training. As he kicks out his leg using Tempest Kick, sending the Nomu staggering backwards. If I were you, big guy, I would call it quits before I have to do some serious damage. The Nomu looked up like nothing happened as the slice on his chest started to heal, only for him to start stomping forward as Shigaraki laughed with glee on how well the Nomu was doing. Don't expect it to be that easy, Eraser. Nomu has shock absorption along with high-speed regeneration, so those little slash techniques is not going to do as much as you think. Eraserhead realized the back and forth with the Nomu was going to be a battle of attrition, which he didn't think he could win. But he knew another way to get around it. As he jumped into the air using Moonwalk, he then used Shave to appear right in front of Shigaraki. Maybe not on your muscular friend, but let's see how it holds up against you. Eraserhead was about to stab Shigaraki with the finger pistol, only for a purple portal to appear right between the both of them, causing Eraser to stab himself in the back with his own finger pistol, causing him to stumble. And before he could possibly recover, Nomu came from behind and slammed him right in his ribcage, sending him across the plaza as they watched him skip at least 3 times off of the ground and land on his chest. Good save, Kodagiri. I thought that he had me there for a second, but he got too excited about taking on the main boss. No problem, young master. I do have to say though, there are 2 students that were able to get out of the building. What? If you were not our getaway, I would disintegrate you here on the spot for letting those children escape. Understood, young master. Should we start making our retreat? Not yet. If the big man himself shows up, it won't be a total loss. Besides, how fast can 2 kids get to UA anyway? Nomu was starting to do a number on a racer head. Just as he was about to have his lights punched out, a loud explosion along with a scream could be heard from behind. Die, you extra! Eraserhead was grateful for his student saving his life, but also horrified knowing that a child was about to get severely hurt because of him. Nomu tried a backswing on Bakugo, but he missed as the blonde jettisoned into the air, coming back down a few times to get a few swings on the Nomu. While this was happening, Izuku finally came up to the plaza, but what scared her the most was seeing the condition of her father. I need to hurry up and get down there. Ochako grabbed her by the shoulder. Wait, before you rush down there, we need at least a little bit of a plan. Don't forget that there's other villains down there. Izuku was looking over the battlefield profusely, seeing the 2 villains that were standing by and the monster that was attacking her father along with Bakugo, but she couldn't figure out what to do. The best we can do is try to get my father off the battlefield so he can heal, while I try to hold off the beast with Bakugo and maybe with Kirishima's help. I'm ready to help Sensei whenever you are. Soji was actually moving towards the 2 villains but was trying to sneak. While the 2 of you are doing that, I'll try to keep the other 2 distracted. That way there's no sneak attacks from behind. Hokage was stretching a little bit. Well then, I guess that leaves me and Ochako to grab Sensei and get him somewhere safe. Izuku took a few deep breaths. Alright, at least now we have a plan. Let's move out. As their group was getting ready to enact their plans, Mina's group was getting close to the plaza as well, but since they decided to take a little bit of a different route, they ended up closer to the staircase. Mina saw the situation and decided to rush in and help. I hope the rest of you will join me. If not, figure out a way to get help. Her entire group was shocked, only for Shota to stomp his foot down and send out a massive ice wave throughout the plaza, hitting the Nomu, freezing half of the creature's body, but that caused the creature to fall over and break, making Shoto very shocked. Oops, I think I might have overdone it. Ida's jaw was wide open in shock. What do you mean, oops? You just killed that guy. Denki looked over at the situation as the creature was actually still alive and was regenerating, which scared the hell out of him, making him grab onto Ida's arm. Ida? Not now, Denki. Shoto needs to understand what he did was wrong. Denki started to pull on his arm a little bit more, trying to get Ida to focus. Ida, I really think you need to look at this. What is it? Denki pointed over towards the creature. Look. Ida looked back over at the plaza, wondering what he needed to look at as his face contorted into shock, realizing that the monster was back on its feet and fighting against Izuku, Mina, and Shinso. But that's impossible. We just saw it get destroyed by the ice wave. Well, it looks like it can regenerate. Now, if you can excuse me, I need to get back out there. We don't have time for lectures. The trio of 6 power users were doing their best to wear down the Nomu, but what surprised them was the extreme strength of the creature along with its regeneration. They couldn't figure out what was causing it to be able to take all of their hits like they were nothing. That's when Shinso was grabbed by the ankle and slammed onto the ground. As he was thrown to the wayside, Mina looked away for a second to see where he landed. Shinso, are you okay? Don't look away, you idiot! Mina turned back, but it was too late. Oh no. Nomu punched Mina right in the head, but luckily for her, she was able to activate her iron body just in the nick of time. Even though she was sent sailing, the damage was then lessened. Izuku was getting upset watching her friends get thrown and punched around. Hey, ugly, why don't you focus over here? Shigaraki was getting annoyed dealing with all these random heroes that were keeping him and Kodagiri away. When he finally realized what was happening with Nomu, he got a sinister idea. Nomu, kill the two that you've already beaten up. Leave the green-haired girl for last. Izuku was shocked to hear that order, but what got her was the backswing she got from Nomu, sending her to the other side of the plaza. Shinso was finally getting to his feet, only for him to hear a loud stomping noise as a shadow went over him. Shinso just groaned as he looked up at the monster. Do your worst. Nomu swung down with all of his strength, but Shinso activated his iron body, allowing him to take a few hits before his body started to feel like it was crumbling. Shinso thought to himself, this guy hits like a truck. If he keeps going like this, my iron body is going to break. I gotta do something, but if I move, my iron body will shut off. I have to wait for something to happen. There has to be an opening somewhere. Mina swooped in from behind like a guardian angel, slamming her Tempest kick right into the side of the Nomu. Tempest Slicer. Nomu screeched out like it was in pain as he stumbled to the side a little bit. Mina was proud that she was actually doing real damage, only for her to let her guard down for a few seconds as the Nomu mid-generation swung backwards like he dislocated his own spine trying to punch her right in the face, only for Shinso to tackle her and take the punch right in his back, feeling the full blunt force of that punch as he coughed up blood as the both of them go sliding away on the ground. Shinso was unconscious in Mina's arms as she was trying to shake him awake. Shinso? Shinso, wake up. Please don't die on me, Shinso. Izuku was fully back onto her feet, seeing what just happened, and it enraged her. Looking at her hands, her needles came out. I have two options. Either use my hormones to overload his body, or I could try that move that father was teaching me, but I haven't fully perfected it. While she was hesitating, Mina screamed out in pain as she was being held up by her hair and having her lights punched out. This caused something in Izuku to finally snap as she charged right behind the Nomu, stabbing all of her fingers right into the spine, launching a stream of condensed power behind it. 6 Queen Hormone Gun! Once Nomu was hit by the attack, it was then stumbling back a few steps as it looked like it was actually hurting from that last attack. As it was about to step forward back towards both of the girls, its whole body started to bubble and twist in pain. Almost like its whole body was on fire, it started to swell and hold itself tightly. It was trying to keep itself together, only for it to let out one last agonizing shriek. As its whole body exploded into chunks of blood and gore, everybody was in shock. Izuku, on the other hand, stood there with both of her hands out as needles were showing from her fingertips. She seemed to be frozen. Her eyes were wide with horror on what she just did. Oh my god. Oh my god, I just killed that person. Why? Oh my god, why did I kill them? I didn't mean to do that. Mina was struggling to get up as she grabbed onto Izuku and held her close. It's not your fault. You were just reacting in self-defense. If you didn't do it, it was going to kill us. She looked over at the bloody piles that were the Nomu. If you ask me, I don't think that creature was human anymore. Shigaraki yelled out in anger. No fair. No fair. You cheated. How did you do that? Nomu should be able to regenerate from something like that, but yet he seemed to be staying dead. What did you do? How did you do that? Izuku looked up with hollow eyes, gently getting out of Mina's grip and slowly walking towards Shigaraki. Why don't you come over here and find out, you bastard? Shigaraki ran forward, ready to kill the green-haired bitch in front of him, only for him to be shocked as Izuku seemed to have teleported. Or at least that's what he was able to tell with his eyes, as Izuku was using Shave to appear right beside Shigaraki. Before he could even think about moving for a counterattack, he was stabbed right in his stomach with all 5 of Izuku's fingers. He could feel something being pumped into him as his head started to feel fuzzy, causing him to stumble backwards off of her hand. What did you just do to me? A change in perspective. Even though I don't like you right now and I really want to hurt you, it's That's not what a hero would do. I'm going to bring you right in the middle of their confrontation. A purplish black portal washed over Shigaraki, sending him away along with his assistant. Everybody was looking around, finally able to catch their breath as Bakugo came stumbling over as he seemed to be bleeding from his side, fighting the other two villains. What happened? Did you kill him, just like that monster? No, I did something else, and if my hunch is correct, even the hand-covered freak will wish for death or come crawling for my forgiveness. Either way, a new view will be shown in the future. Bakugo took a few steps backwards, feeling a little bit uncomfortable again around Izuku, but also caused him to fall onto his ass, starting to feel a little bit hazy. I think I started to lose too much blood. Do you think you got something in that medical bag of yours? Izuku looked over the situation and saw that the cuts were not that deep, but what she did notice was a slight change in muscle mass, slowly but surely. I think you're just coming down from your adrenaline high. Just sit down for a few minutes. I need to check on the others. Just as everybody started to catch their breath and seeing the major villain has already left, leaving the small fry, which happened to either be knocked out or captured. But just at that moment, both of the doors of the USJ came bursting off of their hinges as a big pile of smoke seemed to be covering the individual. By the time everybody could see who it was, it seemed to be a very angry and pissed off All Might. Following behind them in the smoke was Aoyama and Hagakure. We found backup. I hope we are not too late. Have no fear, students, because I am... Izuku yelled at the top of her lungs in anger, making sure to override All Might's statement. Late. You are late. Half of us almost died because you weren't here. All Might flinched as he took a step backwards, being yelled at by someone that looked just like his mentor, especially since he saw the situation was already taken care of. Well then, at least allow me to handle the wrap-up while the rest of you students help out the injured. Leave the rest of these villains to me. Izuku really didn't care what All Might had to say as she was rushing back over to Shinso, quickly taking off the top half of his hero costume to get a better look at his injuries. Alright, it looks like he has some severe bruising. From what I'm able to tell, his spine isn't damaged. He must have put everything he had into that last iron body. She placed his head in her lap while she was looking over some of her medical cream that she had on her. You're always so reckless. I swear I'm going to have a heart attack at such a young age because I'm going to be worried about you. Mina was limping over, seeing Izuku apply some kind of medical cream on Shinso's back right where he was bruised, along with injecting some hormones into him. How's he looking? Is he going to pull through? Nothing life-threatening, maybe a few days off of his feet at the worst, but other than that, he should be fine. Looking up at Mina, seeing that she was heavily bruised along with a few scrapes and cuts. You should sit down beside me. I can treat your injuries in a few minutes. Thanks. What would we do without you? Probably crash and burn, but that's why I'm here, to make sure that doesn't happen. Somebody has to put the both of you back together. Mina had a gloomy look on her face. You do know that the both of us are here to pick you up when stuff like this happens, right? It doesn't always have to be just you. I know, but I care way too much for the both of you to see either of you suffer. Shinso coughed a little bit as his eyes were starting to open, seeing that he was laying in the lap of his lovely angel, her emerald eyes staring at him, making his heart flutter with joy. Is this the sight I get to see every time I get the crap beat out of me? I might let it happen more often. Thank God you're awake. Your brain's not fully turned on yet, but at least you're conscious. Mina got a little bit closer so Shinso could see her without having to move his neck. Thanks again for saving me. You're reckless, but if it wasn't for you, I either would be dead or in critical condition. Don't worry about it. I don't even remember why I fully did it myself. I just knew that one of my closest friends was about to die, so I just leaped and didn't care what was going to happen next. Hey, joyful laughter could be heard. It was sweet and caring, something like that of a grandma, as clicking of a cane could be heard on the stone floor leading up to them, as the trio looked up to see Recovery Girl. Well, I see the three of you have had your fair share of trouble, but it seems that you're in good hands. Yeah, we have minor injuries compared to my dad. Have you gotten to see him yet? Is he even conscious? Oh, do not even let yourself think for a second someone like him has kicked a bucket. He's way too stubborn to die. I've taken a good look over him, a few hours of rest and my treatment, and maybe he'll be able to walk around without looking like a mummy. But you know how he doesn't stay in bed, even though his attitude would make you think otherwise. I appreciate everything that you've done for my dad. I'll try to see what I can do to get him to stay still at home, but I'm a little bit busy dealing with my own patients right now. Recovery Girl chuckled, looking at her apprentice treating battle scars and serious injuries with such fluent motion. She did look past the trio and noticed the big pile of blood and guts, though it did have her curiosity. May I ask about this pile? Mina was the first to speak up. It was some kind of weird mutant creatures the villains brought. It nearly killed me and Shinso, but Izuku hit it with some kind of very powerful attack along with her hormones, which caused it to self-destruct. Recovery Girl was concerned about that last part. Did you intend to kill this creature, Izuku? I didn't want to, but I was afraid and angry, and I was watching my friends die back and forth, so I just charged in, and the next thing I knew I injected it with something, but the creature's body didn't agree with whatever I did, and it just destroyed itself. It's something I'm not very proud of. Recovery Girl put her hands on Izuku's shoulder, trying to comfort the young girl. Sometimes these things happen in the field. We try our best to make sure that it doesn't, but nothing is perfect. You should look towards the positives. You're alive, along with your friends and father. You did a true hero's work today. Don't let anybody else tell you otherwise. Not much else was said. The majority of Class 1A was in Recovery Girl's office getting checked for any broken bones, injuries, or infection. A lot of them were just sent on their way, while a handful of them were staying in the medical care, people such as Bakugo, Shinso, Mina, and 13 along with Eraserhead. But what had her stumped was Bakugo's situation. His injuries weren't that bad, but he had some kind of chemical influx within his body. She had a feeling she knew what was going on, but didn't say anything so she would have deniability. She loved how corrupt the laws could be in situations like this. We cut away from the nurse's office to the teacher's lounge, where Midnight was holding on to Izuku, worried sick, while Mike was nearly tearing through one of his handkerchiefs as he was crying his eyes out. I seriously can't believe that those villains got away with this. I swear, when I get my hands on those two masterminds, I'm going to scream so loud that their eardrums will bleed. Oh, don't get me twisted. If I would have been there, I would have teach those boys some proper discipline, especially for hurting my precious niece along with my apprentice. They really should mind their manners. Izuku was uncomfortable, knowing that her aunt gets a big sadistic aura when she's upset, along with she didn't really like seeing Mike trying to be intimidating, because he sucks at it. He has such a joyful personality that whenever he tries to be mean, he just looks silly. And the both of you please calm down. You're acting more upset than I am. Besides, 3 people at the USJ were affected by my life-changing hormones. Unfortunately, one of them had to die, but I will live with that blood on my hands. Mike felt bad for Izuku to be so young, and having to dance with death and cause death in the same day at her age is nothing more than a disaster. Stuff like this happens. Everybody knows that you didn't mean to kill that thing, and from what I was able to get from statements, it seems like that thing wasn't living to begin with. We're having an autopsy done on the remains, so we'll get some better results so you could feel better, or at least figure out what you did so we can keep it from happening ever again. Midnight was paying attention to the wording her niece was using. What do you mean by 3 victims of your hormones? Care to explain? Well, the first victim was Bakugo, but don't worry, you all knew that I was going to do something to him, and no, it's not life-threatening, but to him it might be. The second victim was the Nomu, which ended up in a disaster because I wasn't thinking straight, and the final one goes to that person covered in hands. Let's just say when they wake up from their injuries, they're gonna have a whole new form of perspective. Aw, you're being very vague with the last one. Won't you tell your dear auntie what you did? Izuku just gave her a cutesy smile. That's a secret. We cut forward in time inside of Bakugo's room, but something felt off this morning. Bakugo thought that his muscles felt lighter and his head was still spinning. As he looked around the room, his clothes felt so big on him for some weird reason. He felt heavy to the point that he almost was going to fall forward. When his eyes started to clear, he looked down and screamed his lungs out in horror. No. She couldn't have. She wouldn't. What has she done to me? But that's where I'm going to leave it off this time, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like and comment down below. And with all that said, I'm out. Peace.